So it's the day after my first ever ultra marathon yesterday, and I thought I'll just do a little bit of a recap and talk through kind of my experience of the event and just, yeah, doing my first ultra. As I've learned from running the UTS, I know that having poles is very important on a long event, especially knowing that there's going to be some sort of elevation. I didn't know how bad it was going to be at the Bath ultra marathon, but I thought I'll take my poles anyway because I know they always come in handy, and I'm so glad I did. I actually recently got the Harrier poles. I did have some Harrier ones before, but they were a bit heavier, so I got some lighter, smaller poles this time, and it was the first time I actually used it yesterday. And I'm so glad I had them, even though the hills weren't that bad. They weren't as steep as I thought, and I didn't go on for as long as I thought. But because of my knee, I was really happy that I had poles to help me kind of just climb, and more so coming downhill as well. Like I had problems before. Yeah, my knee was just really bad. So I'm glad I had the poles. Unfortunately, the one I received actually had a bit of a fault. So the straps, they were some threads coming undone. That was before I even actually used them. I should have checked when they arrived, but I thought I just didn't think there were going to be any problems, so I didn't actually check them through, but I needed them, and I only realized it the day before the event that there was a loose thread. So I contacted Harrier and they said I can send it back as soon as possible, which is good, but I couldn't send it before the event because I needed it, and I'm so glad I did have them. It was also the first time I used the Quiver, which I got the Salomon one to go with my Salomon vest. I'm so happy with them. Originally, I wasn't sure how much they were going to be good for an event because I've never had them before, but because I always struggled to put my poles back on the vest and then taking them off, I kind of ended up holding them the whole time. So I decided to get a Quiver to try out, and I'm so glad I did. I'm also glad that I got the smaller Harrier poles because they fit so easily into the Quiver, and getting them out was so easy. At first, when I tried to get the poles out for the first time, I felt like it got stuck, but that's because I had to loosen the cord on the Quiver at the bottom. And once I did that, it just came out and got back in so quickly. And then if you needed to, you can tighten the cord again. But I felt like even if you didn't tighten the cord, it wouldn't actually bounce or move around too much. So the Quiver worked really well, and it kind of made me use the poles more, knowing that I can get them out so easily and put them back easily. Whereas before, I felt like if I struggled to put them back onto my vest, I would be very hesitant to get them back out again because I was worried I couldn't get them back on. So yeah, the Quiver worked really well for that, and I would very, very highly recommend them. Shoes, I was wearing the Asics Gel Trabuco Terra, I believe they're called. I got them last year before the UTS and before I started kind of trail running. I just got them quite cheaply. I didn't really want to spend loads of money on trail shoes because I wasn't sure if that's something I want to do long term. So I got these ones as kind of a trial to see how they go. But so far, when I've done trail runs and even when I did the UTS, they were actually fine. They were quite comfortable, but they were not comfortable yesterday, despite it being kind of. I was expecting the route to be more on trails. But once we got into the centre of Bath, there was a lot of pavements, a lot of hard surface kind of for a big chunk of the middle of the race. And those shoes really weren't good for hard surfaces. And also, I just don't think they're that good for long runs. My toes didn't actually feel too squished, which is a good thing because I always have problems with shoes not having wide enough toe boxes. But for me, it was the bottom of my feet rubbing. I felt that quite early on. I just felt kind of some rubbing, and then towards the end, it kind of just became excruciatingly painful. And I've got two big blisters at the bottom of my feet at the moment, and I knew I was going to get them kind of when I got into about halfway. I could feel the blisters coming, and then when I got home, I've noticed blisters on other areas on my feet, like around my toes as well. I have taped my left foot because I've been having blisters even just normal running and road running and all the other kind of events I've done. So I've now every time I do anything longer than probably about an hour, I would tape my toes. So those ones are fine on the left side, but I've also got some on the right side, which I didn't really feel at the time when I was running yesterday. I thought it was only when I took my shoes and socks off that I noticed some blisters, but they didn't hurt too badly. But the bottom of my feet are quite sore today. Salomon vest was really good. I really enjoyed having the external pockets and just so many accessible pockets. I managed to fit everything in pretty much. I feel like now I wish they didn't remove the top stuff pocket pocket from the previous model of the Salomon vest, because I felt like I could have really used that extra bit of space. When I took my gloves off and then I took my buff off, I felt like my other pockets were quite full already. So I think I would have really appreciated that extra pocket to put stuff in. And then after the lunch checkpoint, I had some food, and then I took some more food with me to have later. But then I kind of didn't really have anywhere to put the food without squashing them, because I had a donut that I was carrying around with me. But if I had that extra pocket, I felt like I could have put that in there without it being too squished. And yeah, I felt like that pocket would have been very beneficial. But I still feel like it was more important for me to have a comfortable vest over kind of more storage. So yeah, even though I didn't know I would miss it because I've never had the old version vest, but I felt like, yeah, it would have really been good to have that yesterday. But overall, the vest has been very comfortable. No bounce. The only thing I have a problem with are actually the soft flasks. They're so easy to drink out of, and then you can really take on a lot of water if you're really thirsty and you want to just quickly down like a lot of water. But the problem is when you try to put them back into the pockets at the front, the water just comes out so easily. It's never that easy to put the bottles back into a vest, I find. But anytime that you kind of squeeze the bottle slightly, or if you're trying to like push them in, the water just comes out. And then even when I was trying to put the elastic back over the top of the bottle, just with that pushing down motion to put this elastic over, water was kind of shooting out and kind of got everywhere. And it was funny at the time because it just felt like just water kind of, yeah, being shot out. But it's quite annoying as well because your stuff gets wet that's in your vest. I feel like the Harrier soft flasks that I have, you can do anything. I feel like you can always step on them and no water comes out. They are harder to drink out of, but they definitely they're more leak resistant, whereas the Salomon ones are easy to drink out of, but they do shoot out water if you any kind of pressure, or yeah, even just putting them into the vest, just pushing, it kind of water just comes out. So that's the only thing I don't like about the flasks. But the vest has been really good. Yeah, very comfortable. Yeah, just worked how it should, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So food, I ended up only taking 2 pain au chocolat and 1 gel. I know I said I was going to take pain au chocolat and jelly babies, but I've read that there's quite a lot of food and there will be rest stops, so I didn't want to end up taking too much food just for the sake of carrying it around. So I took 2 pain au chocolat and I still only ate 1 of them, and I didn't even take the gel. I just had them in my pack just in case I needed it. I had one kind of before I got to the first checkpoint, just because I've eaten quite early on. I think I ate about 7 and my wave didn't start about 9. So about I think about an hour and a half into the run, I thought, oh, I've not eaten for a long time, and we haven't got to the checkpoint yet. So I thought I'll just have some food to just in case I run out of energy, because that would be the worst thing. Yeah, I just felt like I could have not taken any food and would have been fine. The checkpoints were very, very stocked. They were so much food. The first one had bakery. There were just a lot of options of cakes, pastries, and they had Haribos and then some other kind of muffin things and fruits. They had loads of water you can fill up. The first one had Coke as well. I didn't really see any of the other stops, but yeah, it was loads of food. So I kind of had a bit of food there. Took some Haribo with me and then got going. I didn't really stop for too long at any of the rest stops because I feel like if I sit down, I just probably wouldn't want to get up. And also I was there to kind of hopefully do it in a decent time and not finish too late. So I kind of didn't stop for very long. But yeah, the first checkpoint had a lot of food, more than enough. Then the next stop was halfway point, which was lunch. I had a wrap, some crisps, donut, and a Coke, I think. Yeah, that was. There were so many options of sandwiches, loads of different wraps, and loads of different flavored crisps, and fruit, veg again, and loads of different options of like drinks as well. Everything was kind of very well laid out. So you went inside and it's almost like a buffet of food. Obviously you can only take 1 each of things, but it was so well laid out and so many options. I feel like they really catered for different kind of dietary requirements and just loads of options. There's definitely something for everyone. At that checkpoint, I kind of stopped for a little bit longer. I did sit down to kind of have the wrap, kind of reorganize my pack a little bit because I've taken kind of layers off and gloves, so I kind of wanted to put them somewhere where I'm not going to need it kind of quickly. So I stopped a little bit longer, but not for too long, probably about 10 minutes. I kind of used the bathroom after and then got going again, and I kind of ate my crisps as I was walking. And then after that, there were 2 smaller checkpoints like the first one. So again, lots of food, lots of different options. The one at Bath East actually had a pick and mix option as well, which was really cool. And then they also had pot noodles, which I didn't have because I felt like that would be, if I sat down, I probably would have had it. But because I didn't stop for very long, so I kind of just filled up my water and then, yeah, left, picked up some food and kind of got going again. At that point, I was power walking and still feeling really good. The last rest point, I didn't really fill up that much water because I felt like the weather has really changed at that point. I wasn't that hot. Wasn't drinking that much. I did fill up my water, but then I was carrying most of it towards the end. It wasn't that far. I think it was like 43 kilometers in. So it wasn't like that long left until I got to the end. So yeah, and then it was just really cold. But again, they had a lot of options of food, snacks, and water, and yeah, just very, very well stocked up. What I really liked about the checkpoints were that there were different kind of foods at each one. So it wasn't just, oh, exactly the same at every rest point. There were like a slight variation at each one. And just the fact that they were so well stocked up was really good. There was always water, and they also had ones you either could get just water. They had squash as well if you wanted. And then some of them had electrolyte mixed in. So yeah, I think it was very, very well prepared for all the runners and walkers. Some other thoughts of the event: I thought it was really well organized. The support was really good. All the marshals, kind of all the event crew and everyone was just really friendly. They kind of really cheered you on, and they were just very helpful. And I think the whole thing was very well arranged. I love that you couldn't get lost, not just because you were just following other walkers or runners, but they had these pink arrows and directions kind of everywhere. So you just couldn't get lost, and they were kind of not spaced out too far from each other, those signs. So you know that if you haven't seen something for even just a minute, you know you're going the wrong way. But it was just so very well signposted, and yeah, I just love that. It was very thorough. This is the first one in Bath they were doing, but I know they have a lot of other events that they've been doing for a very long time, so they definitely know what they're doing. I was very impressed with that. Hot food at the end was really nice as well. It was quite a nice treat, even though I lost my meal voucher, even though they just handed it to me at the finish line. But by the time I kind of got to get food, I think they were kind of just handing me stuff. I got the medal, I got a t-shirt, and then I had the voucher, and I didn't really look at the food voucher, and then I kind of somehow misplaced it. I don't know where it is. So when I got to get hot food, I was like, oh no, I can't find my voucher. The lady was so nice. She was like, oh, let me scan your code. It'll be fine. And she scanned it, and obviously you could see that I actually finished, and she let me through anyway. And I was like, oh no. That was quite a sad moment, thinking like, oh, I got all the way to the end looking forward to like some hot food, and then I couldn't get any, but she let me through. It was fine. There were a lot of options there as well. They had fish and chips, lasagna, and some other ones that I don't remember what they were because I only look at the kind of pescatarian option. I had fish and chips. I was going to ask to see if they had maybe a veggie lasagna because I really wanted garlic bread, but I could barely walk. I was in so much pain, and I was so cold as well. I kind of just, the first stop was fish and chips, so I thought I'm just gonna go fish and chips. Picked that up, got some cheesecake and a drink, and kind of just left. I was in, yeah, so much pain, but yeah, the food was actually really nice, and I love that they have a lot of options again, and all the checkpoints and food and rest points were all kind of covered. So even if it was a hot day, sunny day, or rainy day, you'll be covered and you can be inside and stay warm. Places you can get changed and then go to the toilet. It's really good like that, because a lot of the times you might think, oh, if it's a bad day or raining, you just get soaked, but everything's covered, so you do have somewhere where you can sit inside for a bit if you want to. So other than the actual event and all the food that was included, at the start they also give you a buff, which is this one, very colourful. It just says, they does say Bath 50, and then you also get a lanyard with your QR code on it that you need to scan kind of at each checkpoint. They let you keep it at the end because it says 2025, so I guess they can't really reuse it. So those are the two things, and you also get a medal at the end, obviously. And then when you finish, you get a t-shirt as well, so that's very nice. So quite a few things that you get. I didn't expect kind of the buff at the start, but it was just very nice. So would I run the event again? I think it's a very well organized event. It's really good. I actually really enjoyed it, other than the pain. I find the event a little bit expensive, but I guess everything that's included, like I said, with the food and kind of the signposting and just the t-shirt and medal and everything and stuff, I think it's worth it. It's just a little bit expensive, and I thought at least the parking would be included, because I feel like it's already quite expensive for the 50k. But I think I'll do it again because I just really enjoyed it, and everything was very well organized. There were definitely a lot more walkers than runners. I think it was kind of more aimed at walkers, which is nice because it's not something I'm used to doing. But I think it's really good to get people challenging themselves, because even just walking a 50k, or even like the shorter distances like the 10k and 29k, if you're not used to it, it's a real challenge. And I can see kind of people really kind of some people really struggling to kind of complete it. And I think aiming something more out for walkers to do is actually a really good thing to get people active and challenge themselves. Yeah, I'm just not kind of used to it, but it was really good to see. And I think next time I'll do it, I'll probably walk it rather than trying to run it. I think I came overall 296th place out of, I don't know how many runners, I think there were a few thousand. But I would have been a little bit higher up if I didn't struggle so much towards the end. But obviously a lot of people were walking and they weren't competitive. They just wanted to complete it and enjoy the day, and which I did very much, other than my knee pain towards the end. We were also really lucky that the day was so sunny and nice. It started off with such a beautiful day, and the view was very nice. Obviously Bath is very pretty, so everything was just nice up until kind of later on in the afternoon, where the sun disappeared. It was cloudy, it was windy and very cold, and at that point I couldn't run anymore, so I was actually felt quite freezing cold towards the end, especially after being hot kind of early in the day. I have blisters around my feet. The last 10k was definitely really hard for me, and I've probably done quite a lot of damage to my knees. I'm limping today. I can barely walk. I've got knee supports on both of my knees. One of them is because the actual problem with my knee. But I think after I finished, both the back of my knees are really hurting. I don't really know. When I kind of look it up online, they say it's probably due to overuse, which I don't know. I don't really know kind of why I'm having kind of knee pains again. After what I've experienced last year, I thought I've kind of sorted it, and I ran the Chicago Marathon with no problems, and it went really well. And obviously I ran the Bath Half PB before as well. So yeah, I don't really know, because I feel like I'm doing everything I can to avoid having any more knee pains. But obviously it's something else I need to look into. Be patient, and probably just need to recover and heal for a little while. I have the Newport Marathon in a couple of weeks, which I've had the bib come through the post yesterday. But I honestly don't know if I can actually run it as much as I want to. And I was hoping to get a PB, which is what I've been training for. But after my knee pain and yesterday and how I feel today with my legs and knees, I just don't think I won't be able to finish, and I'll just be in too much pain, or I'll just be doing what I did at Manchester Marathon, where I was just limping pretty much the whole way to the finish. And I don't think that would be worth doing, because the first time doing that was because I wanted to complete my first marathon, but now it's more to improve and get better. And I just don't think my knees are going to be ready to run a marathon in 2 weeks' time. So I really don't think I'll be able to run it, which is not something I want to say, or yeah, but it is what it is. I'll just have to see how it goes. So my first ultra marathon, I did it. I wouldn't say I ran it, but I did run quite a lot of it. So I ran about 20k of it, and I finished in about 8 hours 38 minutes. I think that's including the stops and the at lunch and everything. So I think it's probably more like just over 8 hours without the stops. But yeah, 8 hours 38. I was hoping to do it in less than 8 hours, and I felt like if my knee wasn't a problem, I could have definitely done it a lot quicker. But still, I've done my first ultra marathon, and I'm still proud that I made it through to the end despite the pain. Yeah, so hopefully my next one will be better. I am now kind of dreading the 100k a bit, because it was so painful. I think if my knee's okay, then I will be fine. So we'll have to see how that goes. I've still got about 4 months until the 100k. So hopefully I will be rested, recovered, and fit for the next challenge. So thank you so much for watching my first ultra marathon. Was it hard? Yes, definitely, because of the pain. Other than that, I think it wasn't too bad. I know anyone could say that, but I felt like the route wasn't as bad as I thought. It wasn't as hilly as I thought. A lot of it was actually very runnable, which is a real shame. And I was just so annoyed the whole time. I felt like I can run this, but my knee didn't want to run it. So, but yeah, my first ultramarathon was challenging, but I definitely glad I did it. So thank you very much for following me along and all your support and kind messages and just being very kind to me. And I will see you very soon. Thank you for watching, and my name is Uni. See you later.